In July 2015, 13 students went with lecturer Craig Norris on a fieldwork trip to Japan for the University of Tasmania. The decision to create a video based upon my portfolio and our travels to Japan came after deciding to study the movie Lost in Translation. In my studies, I found a deep connection between visitors to Japan and feelings of alienation and literally feeling lost in translation. I wanted to demonstrate the way in which a foreigner can view Tokyo, and if the depictions of Tokyo in Lost in Translation could be considered accurate. Fans and audiences of the movie are overwhelmingly positive in the connections they draw, praising Sofia Coppola, the director, for her beautiful representations of the city of Tokyo. There were moments throughout this trip that I felt like making a video was the worst idea I could have, giving me more work and more technical concerns. However, looking back, it becomes clear that this video demonstrates the exact point of my portfolio. Thanks to UTAS, our trip to Disney Sea was surprisingly very relevant to many of our studies. Understanding that a franchise, in this example Disney, can transcend the boundaries of a language was an eye-opener for many of us. Waiting in lines for rides and talking about things when we assumed that no one could understand what we were saying was particularly interesting. More than once, other tourists stopped us, asking where we were from, based upon our accents alone. It was fascinating to see that even in a very story-based environment, through rides and shows, we still found the experience enriching, despite not really understanding what was going on. In contrast, our trip to Tokyo also involved embracing things that we may not have been familiar with. Whether it was taking the plunge and giving Baby Metal a chance, not as bad as you'd think, or battling our way through overcrowded subway stations, we most definitely had our own moments of feeling completely lost in translation. Using individual portfolio projects for inspiration, we explored various aspects of Japanese culture, media, and trends. These explorations both inspired us to learn and experience new things, as well as immersing ourselves in each other's interests and portfolio topics. During this trip, we experienced niche culture explorations, vast crowds of people, new foods, and new locations. Immersing ourselves in the culture and committing to try things we'd never tried before, whether it was going to an underground mall or eating seaweed pizza. It allowed us to further explore our own portfolio topics. Using inspiration from Lost in Translation to inspire me to represent our trip in an unbiased and accurate way, my decision to make a video allowed me to share and remember our experiences. Lost in Translation depicts a beautiful Tokyo nightlife, something that I was lucky enough to experience and put into film as well. Although Coppola proved that any scene can be cinematically beautiful, I proved that shining Tokyo in this light is not actually that hard. Flashing neon lights, crowds of people, sweeping highways and speeding trains all assisted me in cinematically capturing Tokyo in a Lost in Translation-esque light. Choosing to study Lost in Translation forced me to immerse myself within the experiences of culture shock and the feeling of alienation. Despite being in a group with 13 other people, I still managed to feel literally lost in translation on a daily basis. Whether we were simply catching the subway, visiting a convention, or doing some shopping, there was something every single day that slapped me in the face with the reminder that I do not belong here. Walking through the subway with thousands of people moving in different directions around you was the most akin I felt to Lost in Translation. Although Coppola chose Shibuya Crossing to represent this feeling most accurately, I believe that this feeling of alienation and simply not belonging is something that can be felt almost anywhere in Tokyo. Making this video as a supporting element to my portfolio motivated me to represent Tokyo in the most unbiased way that I could, allowing others to judge the locations for themselves. The way in which Sofia Coppola captures the cityscape and the chaotic nature of the streets, as well as the flashing neon lights of the city, painted Tokyo in a uniquely beautiful light. Although Shibuya Crossing was not quite as busy and it was not quite the right time of day, I still found the locations of Lost in Translation to be just as amazing in real life as they were in the film. With Henry Jenkins' explorations of fan tourism in mind, I was aware that more often than not, fans of a media product find themselves disappointed or dismayed with the real-life locations depicted. However, in my studies, I found this contradictory when it came to Lost in Translation, because the majority of audiences reacted positively to Sofia Coppola's depictions of Tokyo, praising her for her accuracy. Overall, the footage that I captured of Tokyo, based upon my own experiences and my studies of Lost in Translation, proved that fan tourism and media properties can in fact create a true-to-life experience.